What if every setback in your business, every rejection, every crisis, every sleepless night wasn't a threat but a teacher? Entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. It's a daily battle with uncertainty, rejection, and change. Yet there's a mindset so powerful that it can make you immune to chaos. A philosophy that guided ancient warriors, emperors, and thinkers through storms far greater than ours. That mindset is Stoicism, the ancient art of resilience. And today we'll uncover how to use Stoic principles to master your mind, build unshakable discipline, and thrive in any economy, no matter what the world throws at you. Chapter 1. The inevitable storms of entrepreneurship. It's a stormy sea, unpredictable, relentless, and often merciless to those who enter unprepared. Every entrepreneur begins with a spark, a vision of freedom, independence, and control over their own destiny. But soon that dream collides with reality. Deals fall through, clients vanish, markets collapse, partnerships fracture. The very systems you build to create stability begin to shake beneath you. And it's in those moments, when everything feels unstable, that the true test begins. Because entrepreneurship is not simply about innovation, money, or success. It's about the mind. Your greatest asset isn't your product, your network, or your capital. It's your ability to remain calm when everything around you is chaos. Think of it this way. The marketplace is a mirror reflecting your inner world. When you're restless, decisions become impulsive. When you're fearful, you hesitate and miss opportunities. When you're angry, you destroy relationships that could have helped you grow. But when you cultivate inner steadiness, when you anchor yourself with calm reasoning, strategy, and emotional control, you stop reacting to the market and start directing your role within it. That is the core of Stoic resilience. The ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, lived in times of war, political betrayal, exile, and uncertainty. They didn't run companies or manage marketing campaigns, but they understood pressure better than most CEOs ever will. Marcus Aurelius led an empire under constant threat, yet his writings in Meditations reveal a mind untouched by panic. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That single truth reshapes how you approach business failure. It means the market crash, the competitor who outsmarts you, the product that underperforms. None of these have the power to destroy you unless you let them. The Stoic entrepreneur understands that outcomes don't define strength. Responses do. Let's imagine a scenario. Two entrepreneurs face the same crisis. A failed product launch that wipes out 6 months of work and a large portion of capital. The first reacts emotionally, blaming their team, panicking, questioning every decision they've made. They spiral, lose clarity, and slowly begin to give up. The second, guided by Stoic discipline, takes a breath. They acknowledge the loss, yes, but they also see it as data. They ask, what can this teach me? Where did the process fail? What can I refine before the next attempt? That is the Stoic difference. One collapses under emotion, the other grows from experience. You see, Stoicism doesn't promise a world without problems. It promises a self that is unshaken by them. And this mindset is not abstract philosophy. It's tactical. It's mental training for high-stress leadership. When the world throws uncertainty at you, inflation, changing tech trends, team burnout, or the loss of a major deal, your first reaction determines the quality of your next 10 decisions. Panic clouds logic, fear paralyzes innovation, but composure breeds clarity. This is why Stoicism matters in business more than ever. Because in a noisy world full of distractions, The entrepreneur who can remain grounded becomes unstoppable. They're the ones who lead when others freeze. They're the ones who adapt faster, communicate better, and make smarter, calmer choices, even under pressure. Epictetus, once a slave who became one of Rome's greatest philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters." Every entrepreneur must tattoo that idea into their mindset, because no business journey is ever smooth. Even the most successful companies, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, were forged in moments of deep uncertainty. What separates those who survive from those who don't isn't funding or luck. It's the inner resilience to stay rational when others are breaking down. Now imagine developing that kind of strength, not as a personality trait but as a trained skill. What would it look like to face a crisis and feel to lose a major client and stay calm enough to pivot within hours instead of weeks? To see a competitor rise and feel focused, not threatened? That's not optimism. That's Stoic training. It's the result of practicing composure, self-reflection, and the conscious separation between what you can control and what you cannot. And that brings us to the first principle of the Stoic entrepreneur. The dichotomy of control. Everything in your business and your life falls into two categories: what's up to you and what isn't. You can't control the market. You can't control the economy. You can't control what clients decide or what competitors do, but you can control your choices, how you plan, how you react, and how you interpret each event. When you begin to operate from this clarity, stress loses its grip on you. You stop wasting energy on what's outside your reach and focus it entirely on what you can influence. And that shift, that disciplined focus, is what transforms struggling entrepreneurs into masters of resilience. Because the truth is this: entrepreneurship is not a war against the world. It's a process of mastering yourself. And the moment you begin to master your reactions, your thoughts, and your focus, the storms outside no longer matter. You don't chase calm conditions. You become calm in any condition. This is where real strength begins. This is where Stoic entrepreneurship is born. Chapter 2: The Foundation of Stoic Composure. Picture this. You're in the middle of a business storm. The numbers don't add up. Your top employee is threatening to quit. Investors are anxious. And your product launch has just hit another unexpected delay. Your phone won't stop buzzing. Emails pile up faster than you can read them. Your mind starts racing, searching for solutions, answers, anyone to blame, anything to fix. And then, in the midst of all that chaos, a question arises. What if the problem isn't the chaos? What if the problem is your reaction to it? That is the first truth of Stoic composure. That control begins not with the world, but within yourself. The Stoics believed that a man or woman who could not govern their emotions could never govern anything else. Not a team, not a business, not even their own destiny. And for an entrepreneur, that mastery is everything. Because when you lead a company, you're not just managing numbers or strategy. You're managing energy. Your energy, your team's energy, your client's energy, and the emotional current that runs through every decision. To build something that lasts, you must first build yourself into someone who lasts. The Stoic blueprint. The dichotomy of control. At the heart of Stoicism lies one of its simplest yet most revolutionary ideas. The dichotomy of control. It's the lens through which every Stoic views life. And it separates those who suffer needlessly from those who thrive under pressure. The idea is this: there are only two kinds of things. Those you can control, and those you cannot. You can't control the market, but you can control your strategy. You can't control the economy, but you can control your adaptability. You can't control how others perceive you, but you can control the integrity of your action. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." It's deceptively simple, but mastering this mindset changes everything. Every entrepreneur faces situations where panic seems natural, when revenue dips, when competition rises, when plans collapse. The average person reacts instinctively. They worry, overanalyze, and spiral into stress. But the Stoic entrepreneur pauses. They filter the situation through this question: is this within my control or not? If it is, they act. If it isn't, they release it. That mental discipline saves enormous energy that can now be redirected toward innovation, clarity, and leadership. Imagine your business like a ship. The storms will come, the waves will rise, and the wind will turn. You can't control the weather, but you can always adjust your sails. That's Stoic composure in action. The power of mental calm. Calm is not weakness. Calm is power. In fact, calm is the rarest currency in the business world. We live in a hyper-reactive era, where entrepreneurs glorify urgency, grind culture, and non-stop hustle. Everyone's racing, scrolling, and shouting. But Stoic composure stands apart like still water in the middle of a storm. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire facing war, plague, and betrayal, often began his mornings reminding himself of the day's inevitable chaos. He wrote, "You will meet with meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial men, but none of them can harm you, for you cannot be made to act contrary to your own nature." This daily mental rehearsal wasn't pessimism. It was preparation. It was training his mind to expect difficulty, so he would never be surprised by it. That's what Stoic composure gives you: immunity from surprise. Because surprise leads to panic, and panic clouds judgment. The Stoic entrepreneur starts every day knowing chaos will come, and they meet it with a steady breath. They don't need things to go smoothly to feel strong. Their calm doesn't depend on external conditions. It's rooted in clarity and purpose. From reactivity to response. Most people live in reaction. They wake up to notifications, rush through tasks, and react emotionally to every challenge that arises. Reactivity drains focus. It gives away control. Stoic composure replaces reaction with response. Response is deliberate, measured, strategic. It comes from reflection, not emotion. Seneca once said, "Days, we suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think about that. How many sleepless nights have you endured? Not because something happened, but because you imagined what might happen. Entrepreneurs often live in the tension between ambition and anxiety. They're dreaming of the future, fearing its collapse, and replaying the past all at once. But composure brings you back to now, because the present moment is the only place where you can actually make a decision. You can't negotiate with yesterday or control tomorrow, but right now you can choose your next move. You can choose patience over panic. You can choose reflection over reaction. You can choose courage over fear. That's Stoic composure, not emotionless living, but emotionally intelligent living. The rituals of resilience. Composure is not a personality trait. It's a practice. Stoics didn't wake up unshakable. They trained themselves daily. And so can you. Here are 3 core Stoic practices to build composure. 1. Morning reflection. Prepare for the storm. Before diving into the day, visualize possible challenges. Ask yourself, what could go wrong today? Then calmly plan how you would respond. This is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. It doesn't make you negative. It makes you ready. 2. Evening review. Audit your reactions. At the end of the day, reflect on your emotional responses. Where did you lose your temper? Where did fear drive your action? Where did you stay calm and rational? Write it down. Analyze it. Improvement begins with awareness. 3. The pause practice. Slow before you speak. When stress spikes, pause before reacting. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, is this within my control? That pause often prevents emotional damage, impulsive decisions, and unnecessary conflict. The more you practice these rituals, the more your composure becomes your natural state. Soon you'll find yourself unbothered by things that used to destroy your peace. The psychological edge. Here's the hidden truth about composure. It's a strategic advantage. When everyone else panics, the composed entrepreneur thinks clearly. When others react emotionally, the stoic leader acts rationally. And in business, clarity always wins. Think of composure as your meta skill. It's the foundation upon which all other business skills rest. Negotiation, marketing, leadership, creativity, strategy, all of them collapse without a calm mind. That's why great CEOs aren't the smartest in the room. They're the stillest. They see the bigger picture. They don't overreact to small fires. They make decisions that hold up not just for the next quarter, but for the next decade. In a crisis, people naturally look to whoever looks calmest. Composure inspires trust. Trust builds loyalty. And loyalty builds empires. Building composure in real time. When you face your next stressful moment, don't rush to fix it. Instead, observe your reaction. Feel your heartbeat rise. Feel the mental fog forming. Then remind yourself, this is my training. Every crisis is a classroom. Every mistake is a mentor. Every frustration is an invitation to grow in mastery. This is the Stoic paradox. The harder things get, the stronger you become. Because composure is not about removing stress. It's about transforming stress into strength. It's not about escaping discomfort. It's about expanding your capacity to hold it without breaking. When you train your mind to remain calm under fire, no external chaos can truly control you. That's when you stop being a reactive entrepreneur and become a stoic strategist. Deliberate, powerful, and unshakably centered. And that foundation, that inner stillness, will be the mental armor you wear as we step into the next stage. The practical stoic mindset. Shifts that turn adversity into unstoppable momentum. Chapter 3. Practical Applications. Mindset Shifts for Business. Extended Edition. From Philosophy to Power, turning Stoic wisdom into entrepreneurial advantage. You've weathered the storms. You've practiced composure. Now it's time to act. Because Stoicism without application is like owning a sword you never unsheath. Wisdom without execution is noise. This chapter is where the ancient world collides with the modern marketplace, where the writings of Seneca meet the speed of startups, where Marcus Aurelius's reflections become boardroom strategies. If you've ever felt burned out, betrayed, broke, or overwhelmed, what follows is your roadmap to transforming every challenge into clarity, every setback into strategy, and every obstacle into opportunity. This isn't motivation. This is mental architecture. We're rebuilding the way you think, decide, and execute permanently. 1. The Stoic Entrepreneur's Dilemma: Emotions versus Execution. Every entrepreneur has 2 operating systems: emotion and execution. Emotion reacts. Execution responds. Emotion panics. Execution plans. Emotion wants to be liked. Execution wants to build. Most entrepreneurs fail, not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack emotional discipline. Their inner world collapses before their business ever does. A Stoic entrepreneur is trained to pause, to look chaos in the face, and think. Marcus Aurelius said, "That's end. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's not poetry, that's mental engineering. Your emotional reaction to events is a choice, And every time you choose calm over chaos, you're rewiring your brain for mastery. Neuroscience now confirms this. Each time you consciously regulate emotion, your prefrontal cortex strengthens its control over the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system. Over time, your baseline reaction to stress changes. You become unshakable. The modern Stoic entrepreneur doesn't suppress emotion. They channel it. Energy becomes action. Fear becomes focus. Doubt becomes data. This is not about indifference. It's about inner command. The Stoics' mantra, the entrepreneur's shield. It's easy to love success. It's easy to love praise, profit and progress. But true mastery begins when you learn to love the struggle itself. Because pain is not punishment, it's information. Failure is not the end, it's feedback. When Marcus Aurelius faced famine and war, he didn't ask for comfort, he asked for character. He wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." The Stoic entrepreneur burns everything. Rejection, loss, chaos, into fuel. Let's be blunt. Business is suffering in disguise. You will be betrayed, misunderstood, exhausted and tested. You'll question your ideas, your purpose, even your sanity. But the Stoic doesn't run from that. They lean into it. They say, "Good. Let this sharpen me." This is Amor Fati in action. The alchemy of turning adversity into advantage. You lose a client. Good. Learn what broke trust. A product flops. Good. Now you have data no competitor has. Your team fractures. Good. Rebuild it with stronger foundation, because when you love the process more than the outcome, nothing can defeat you. This is how legends are made. Not through smooth paths, but through total acceptance of the hard road. They don't crave easy wins. They crave transformation, premeditation, malorum, the art of anticipated chaos. If Amor Fati is loving what happens, then premeditation malorum is preparing for it. It means the premeditation of evils. In modern terms, mental risk management. The Stoics began each morning imagining what could go wrong, not to live in fear, but to train the mind to remain steady when chaos arrived. Epictetus advised, "When you kiss your child, whisper that they may die." This is not morbid. It prepares you to love without attachment. For the entrepreneur, this translates into, when you sign that client, remember they may leave. When you start that venture, remember it may fail. When you build that brand, remember it may be attacked. Why? Because expectation creates suffering, but anticipation creates strategy. When you visualize loss before it happens, you immunize your emotions against shock. Your brain learns to expect turbulence. Modern neuroscience confirms this too. When we mentally rehearse adversity, the prefrontal cortex sends inhibitory signals to the amygdala, reducing stress when the real event happens. In other words, you feel it once in imagination, so it hurts less in reality. For the Stoic entrepreneur, this becomes a system. Visualize potential business failures weekly. Emotionally detach from desired outcomes. Create if this then that response plans for each scenario. You'll find that when crisis strikes, you don't panic. You simply execute. 4. The 4 virtues of the Stoic CEO extended deep dive. 1. Wisdom. The power of perception. Wisdom is not knowing everything. It's seeing clearly. To the Stoics, wisdom meant removing distortion, ego, fear, and wishful thinking. In business, that's your edge. The wise entrepreneur doesn't chase hype. They study timeless principles. They don't act from emotion. They act from reason. They understand that clarity compounds faster than capital. Practical wisdom habits. After each failure, ask, what data did this give me? This for any decision. Pause and say, is this emotion or logic? Wisdom is clarity under chaos. 2. Courage. Calm action. In chaos. Courage is acting rightly, even when afraid. In business, courage is launching despite uncertainty, firing despite attachment, standing firm despite opposition. But Stoic courage is not loud. It's quiet, deliberate, measured. It's not fueled by adrenaline, but by alignment. Courage means, I will act according to principle, not panic. And when courage becomes habit, momentum becomes natural. They're true. 3. Justice. Building an ethical empire. Justice means doing right, not because it pays off, but because it defines you. A Stoic entrepreneur plays the long game. They understand that ethics are a strategy, not a slogan. They protect reputation over short-term gain, knowing integrity compounds faster than marketing. They treat partners, clients, and competitors with fairness, because their goal is legacy, not leverage. Justice is power with purpose. 4. Temperance. The discipline of enough. Temperance means control over excess. The Stoic entrepreneur knows that burnout, greed, and ego are silent killers. They say no more often than yes. They prioritize clarity over chaos, quality over quantity, principles over profit. Temperance means setting boundaries in a world addicted to hustle. Because you can't scale chaos, only calm. Stoic reframing. The psychology of turning pain into progress. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of modern psychology's most effective therapies, was directly inspired by Stoicism. At its core is reframing, the ability to reinterpret experiences, to create meaning instead of misery. For example, you fail to close a deal. The default thought is, I'm not good enough. The Stoic reframe is, I've just collected one more data point for future success. You lose a partner. The default thought, this is the Stoic reframe. This frees me to build something better. Every reframed thought rewires your neural pathways, teaching your brain to associate adversity with growth rather than pain. This is psychological jujitsu, using the weight of the world to strengthen yourself instead of being crushed by it. 6. Stoic neuroscience. How the brain learns resilience. The Stoic mind is not mystical. It's biological mastery. When you respond to stress with calm awareness, your brain activates the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for emotional regulation and long-term decision-making. Each time you do this, you build neural myelination, strengthening your ability to handle pressure. In contrast, when you panic, your amygdala floods your body with cortisol, shortening your focus, clouding logic, and burning energy reserves. Stoic practice, journaling, reflection, detachment, keeps you operating from the logical brain, not the reactive brain. This is how ancient philosophy aligns perfectly with neuroscience. The Stoics built psychological armor long before the science proved it worked. 6. Modern Stoic case studies. Steve Jobs practiced detachment. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. Tim Ferriss credits negative visualization, premeditatio malorum, for his resilient. Naval Ravikant speaks like a modern Seneca. Desire is a contract you make to be unhappy until you get what you want. Ryan Holiday, author of The Obstacle is the Way, built an empire on one Stoic principle. What stands in the way becomes the way. Stoicism is not history, it's strategy. 8. The 3-minute Stoic reset. Daily entrepreneur routine. Every morning breathe deeply. 30 seconds. Inhale focus. Exhale noise. Visualize challenges. 1 minute. Imagine your day's worst case scenario. Calmly accept it. Affirm your control. 1 minute. Repeat. I control my response, not reality. Choose virtue. 30 seconds. Ask what would wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance do today. This small ritual rewires your brain toward Stoic dominance, leadership through stillness. The Stoic entrepreneur leads not through fear, but through presence. They don't shout, they anchor. Their calm becomes contagious. Teams trust them, not because they always win, but because they never waver. Stillness is not passivity, it's command. And in business, the one who remains calm when everyone else panics wins. 10. The closing manifesto. The inner empire. You can't control markets, employees, investors, or algorithms, but you can control your mind. That's the Stoic path, not to escape the world, but to master it, from the inside out. Because every time you choose clarity over chaos, reason over reaction, purpose over panic, you're not just surviving, you're ascending. You're becoming the kind of entrepreneur who can't be destroyed, because your power doesn't come from profit. It comes from principle. It comes from principle. That is the foundation of resilience. That is how you build empires that last. Chapter 4. Building your resilience toolkit. Stoic habits for the modern entrepreneur. If the first 3 chapters have guided you through the why and what of Stoic resilience, this chapter is about the how, the daily grounded practices that transform philosophical wisdom into lived experience. Because Stoicism is not a theory to admire, it's a discipline to embody. And for the modern entrepreneur navigating constant change, these habits can be the difference between burnout and brilliance, chaos and composure, failure and fulfillment. Let's dive deep into building your resilience toolkit, inspired by Stoic philosophy but tailored for the real world of entrepreneurship, deadlines, deals and decisions that define your future. The Morning Fortress. Begin the day with intention. The Stoics believed that each morning was a rehearsal for life. Marcus Aurelius began his day by reminding himself, "Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious and unsocial." He wasn't being pessimistic, he was building mental armor. Entrepreneurs can do the same. Before you open your inbox or check your phone, take 5 minutes for Stoic morning priming. Visualize challenges ahead. Picture delays, difficult clients, or a rejected pitch, not to invite negativity but to normalize it. When these events come, you'll meet them with calm readiness. Reaffirm your purpose. Ask, "Why am I doing this?" If your answer aligns with service, innovation or growth, you start your day rooted in meaning rather than impulse. Commit to virtue. Promise yourself to act with wisdom, justice, courage and temperance. The 4 Stoic virtues. No matter what happens, your character is non-negotiable. This practice creates what I call a psychological firewall. It separates you from emotional hijacks and grounds your decisions in clarity. The Stoic Journal. Transform reflection into strategy. Entrepreneurs live fast, but Stoic resilience demands slowness. A pause between stimulus and response. The Stoic Journal is where reflection meets refinement. Seneca wrote letters to himself. Marcus Aurelius wrote meditations for no audience but his own soul. Here's how to adopt it. Morning section. Outline your priorities and identify potential emotional traps. Example: I might get impatient if the team misses the deadline. I'll respond with calm leadership instead. Evening section. Reflect on your day. Ask, where did I react poorly? What did I do well? What can I improve tomorrow? Over time, this habit rewires your brain. You'll begin to see yourself. Seeing yourself. A metacognitive awareness that sharpens both judgment and self-control. 3. The power of pause. Stoic mindfulness in motion. Modern business glorifies speed, but Stoicism teaches the strength of stillness. Mindfulness, in its Stoic sense, isn't about escaping the world but being fully engaged with it, calmly and consciously. Every time you feel tension rise, a negotiation turning sour, a meeting going off track, or a trade not going your way, use this simple Stoic protocol. Take one deep, deliberate breath. Observe. Name the emotion. Anger, fear, impatience. Detach. Remind yourself, this is just a sensation in my body, not a command. Respond. Choose an action aligned with reason, not reaction. This micro practice, repeated often, reshapes your neural circuitry. You become untriggerable. People around you may lose composure, but you'll operate like a mountain in a storm. Still, silent and stable. Amor Fati. Loving what you cannot control. In business, the unexpected is guaranteed. Lost clients, delayed funding, failed launches. Most entrepreneurs fight these moments with frustration. The Stoic takes a different stance. Amor Fati. Love your fate. This doesn't mean blind optimism. It's radical acceptance, turning every obstacle into fuel. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. So when setbacks strike, ask, what lesson hides inside this difficulty? How can this challenge refine my strategy or strengthen my patience? What skill, virtue or wisdom does this event demand from me? By reframing pain as a teacher, you reclaim power from it. The market, the economy, or the algorithm no longer dictates your emotion. You become anti-fragile, someone who grows stronger through stress, not weaker. 5. The evening audit, closing the loop. The day isn't complete until reflection crystallizes learning. Seneca called it self-examination before sleep. This is your opportunity to review not with guilt, but with clarity. Ask yourself, did I act in alignment with my values today? Where did I let external events dictate my inner state? What can I forgive, release, or improve tomorrow? This nightly ritual strengthens emotional discipline. It creates psychological closure, a buffer that prevents unresolved stress from leaking into tomorrow's performance. Practical stoicism. In leadership and communication, resilient entrepreneurs are not only strong alone, they make others stronger. Stoicism isn't isolationist, it's relational. Apply stoic calm in team interaction. Emotional control earns respect and trust. That, during conflict, seek clarity, not victory. Ask questions that reveal truth, not ego. When mentoring, lead by example. Show that composure under pressure is the real measure of greatness. Your team will mirror your energy. A stoic leader builds not followers, but thinkers. A culture of composed, courageous individuals. 7. Integrating the toolkit. From habit to identity. At first, these practices may feel forced, but over time, they become your second nature. Not a routine but an identity. You stop trying to be resilient. You simply are. Here's how to integrate them seamlessly. Anchor each habit to an existing routine. Journal after coffee. Reflection before bed. Track your consistency, not perfection. When you falter, don't judge. Observe and recalibrate. The Stoics never sought flawlessness. They sought progress, which is infinitely more powerful. 8. Final thought. Becoming unshakable. Stoic resilience is not about cold detachment or suppressing emotion. It's about balance. The equilibrium between caring deeply and staying composed. When the world seems chaotic, remember, you can't control the storm, but you can control the sail. Your business, your relationships, your ambitions, all depend on one central skill: your ability to stay steady in uncertainty. The entrepreneur who masters this inner stability becomes unstoppable, not because the path gets easier, but because you become stronger. Chapter 5. The Resilient Entrepreneur's Future. Thriving Beyond Adversity. There comes a point in every entrepreneur's journey where philosophy stops being theory and becomes survival. You've endured failure, rejection, doubt and exhaustion. You've seen your plans collapse, your confidence waver, and your dreams tested by harsh realities. Yet through it all, something inside you refuses to die. That something is resilience. But in this final chapter, we go beyond endurance. Because true Stoic resilience isn't just about surviving chaos, it's about thriving through it. It's the ability to move forward, not in spite of adversity, but because of it. This chapter explores how to embody resilience as your natural state, how to build a business, a mindset, and a life that remains unshakable, no matter how wild the world becomes. They promised the skill to sail through them with grace. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire during plagues, wars, and betrayal, yet his writings radiate peace. He understood what modern entrepreneurs often forget. You can't control the economy, markets, or algorithms, but you can always control your response. That's the real power. The future belongs not to those who predict trends, but to those who can remain centered when the trends shift unexpectedly. The Stoic entrepreneur doesn't chase calm conditions. He learns to be calm regardless of conditions. In the next decade, disruption will accelerate. AI revolutions, new technologies, shifting consumer psychology, and volatile markets. The mentally fragile will panic. The resilient will adapt. The Stoic will lead. 2. Reframing failure as the ultimate asset. Entrepreneurship is a brutal teacher. You will fail, often publicly, painfully, and repeatedly. But Stoicism gives you the key to alchemy, how to turn every loss into a lesson, every fall into growth. Failure to the Stoic isn't an enemy, it's a mentor. Epictetus said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about things." That means the emotional pain of failure is never in the event itself, it's in your interpretation of it. A rejected investor pitch, perhaps the universe redirecting you toward better alignment. A product flop, a data-rich lesson on unmet customer needs. A team member leaving, a chance to rebuild culture with clarity and values. Entrepreneurs who internalize this shift stop reacting and start reframing. They no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "How can this serve me?" This one question alone can change the entire trajectory of your business and your life. 3. The emotional economy, regulating yourself before you lead others. We live in an emotional economy. Regulating yourself before you lead others. We live in an emotional economy. Decisions in business by clients, investors, or teams are rarely purely rational. They are influenced by the energy you project. When you are anxious, indecisive, or frustrated, that vibration infects your organization. But when you operate from calm conviction, people naturally align around your leadership. The Stoic entrepreneur practices emotional self-regulation as a business strategy. Try this 3-step Stoic model whenever emotions flare. Awareness. Name the emotion. I feel frustration building. Separation. Recognize it as transient. This isn't me, it's a passing chemical wave. Reorientation. Act from reason, not reaction. What action aligns with my highest principles? Mastering this practice transforms you into what Seneca called a tranquil soul, someone unshaken by circumstances yet fully engaged with life. Your calm becomes contagious, your steadiness becomes your brand, and your emotional discipline becomes your ultimate competitive advantage. 4. Building the anti-fragile mindset. Resilience is good, but anti-fragility, as philosopher Nassim Taleb later expanded upon from Stoic roots, is better. The resilient person withstands shocks. The anti-fragile person grows from them. For the Stoic entrepreneur, this means actively seeking environments that challenge and strengthen you. Launch products that might fail, and study the failure data without ego. Engage in debates that question your beliefs and refine your clarity. Place yourself in uncomfortable situations, presentations, rejections, pivots to expand your tolerance for uncertainty. Every pressure test becomes a form of training. Like steel tempered in fire, your character hardens through volatility. By embracing adversity, you don't merely survive business cycles, you evolve with each one. Redefining success. From wealth to wisdom, most entrepreneurs begin their journey chasing external rewards, profits, prestige, or validation. But Stoicism asks a deeper question. What is success if you lose peace of mind along the way? Seneca warned against becoming rich in things but poor in spirit. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Chapter 6. Building your Resilience Toolkit. Daily Stoic Habits for Unshakable Entrepreneurs. The most successful entrepreneurs in history weren't just brilliant. They were disciplined thinkers. They understood that chaos is constant, and control is an illusion. What truly separates thriving founders from those who burn out isn't resources, luck, or timing. It's mental resilience. But resilience doesn't magically appear when things get tough. It's built quietly, through consistent habits, deep reflection, and a mindset forged in discomfort. This chapter dives into how to operationalize Stoicism in your business and life, transforming timeless wisdom into a modern, actionable toolkit. These aren't abstract ideas. They're strategies to make you unshakable in the face of modern entrepreneurial turbulence. The Morning Fortress, setting the tone for the day. Marcus Aurelius began every day with a ritual of reflection. Before facing the Roman Empire's chaos, he reminded himself, "Today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was preparing his mind for reality. As an entrepreneur, you can apply the same mental armor. Morning Stoic practice. Preload your expectations. Remind yourself that obstacles and problems are not exceptions. They're part of the path. Set a core intention. Decide what kind of leader you want to be today. Calm, focused, empathetic. Anchor your mindset. Before checking your phone or emails, read a Stoic passage, meditate for 5 minutes, or journal your main priorities. The first hour of your day is where you decide, will I react to chaos, or will I direct it? Entrepreneurs who build this daily fortress don't crumble when challenges arrive, because they've already fortified their minds before the battle even begins. 2. Journaling for clarity and control. Stoics believed writing was a mirror for the mind. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus all wrote not for others, but for themselves, to process, refine, and control their thoughts. Entrepreneurial journaling is your greatest weapon against confusion and emotional reactivity. Each evening, ask yourself 3 Stoic-inspired questions. What went well today and why? Reinforce your strategic and mental wins. What challenged me and how did I respond? Train self-awareness. What will I do differently tomorrow? Strengthen the link between reflection and action. This nightly habit transforms chaos into insight. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns, where your emotions hijack decisions, where your ego interferes with logic, and where your growth opportunities lie. Your journal becomes not just a log of experiences, but a roadmap for mastery. 3. Emotional endurance training. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about retraining them. The modern entrepreneur faces intense highs and lows, product launches, rejections, funding rounds, sudden losses. Emotional volatility can destroy focus, ruin relationships, and cloud judgment. To master this, Stoics practiced something powerful: emotional exposure therapy. They would intentionally visualize the worst possible outcomes: loss, failure, ridicule, not to attract them, but to reduce their control over the mind. This is the Stoic concept of premeditation malorum. Premeditation of evil. For you, it might look like this. Imagine your top client leaving unexpectedly. Imagine your product failing in the market. Imagine receiving harsh criticism online. Then ask, if this happens, what would I do? How could I adapt? What would still remain within my control? This mental rehearsal transforms fear into readiness. When these moments eventually arise, and they will, you won't collapse. You'll act with calm precision. If you want to integrate Stoicism deeply into your entrepreneurial life, build a weekly rhythm around it. Here's a sample Stoic Resilience calendar you can adapt. Monday, reflection and intention. Set your mindset for the week. Define what winning truly means for the next 7. Tuesday, focus on control. Audit your energy. List what's draining you that you can't control, and release it. Redirect effort to what you can control. Wednesday. Discomfort training. Do one hard thing you've been avoiding. Make a difficult call. Deliver feedback. Or face a tough number. Thursday. Gratitude and perspective. Write down 3 things you're thankful for, and 1 thing you're currently struggling with. Then find how that struggle is teaching you something valuable. Friday. Review and refine. Ask, did I live according to my principles this week? Don't just measure progress in profit. Measure progress in peace. This structure helps transform Stoic thought into automatic behavior. Mental muscle memory for resilience. The power of detachment. Acting without attachment to outcome. This may be the hardest Stoic lesson for any entrepreneur to internalize. You must give everything your best effort, yet detach from the outcome. Epictetus said, make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. That means executing with excellence, but releasing emotional dependence on result. When you become overly attached to success or terrified of failure, you surrender your peace to forces beyond your control. Market reactions, trends, investor opinions or algorithms. Stoic detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means freedom. The Stoic entrepreneur still cares deeply, but their happiness no longer depends on temporary wins or losses. They focus entirely on the process, trusting that consistent right action creates inevitable results. This mental independence makes you immune to external chaos. While others ride emotional waves, you stay grounded, sharp, and strategic. 6. The virtue framework. Leading with wisdom and integrity. Stoics built their philosophy on 4 virtues, the foundation of a balanced and successful life. Wisdom. Make decisions based on logic, not ego. Courage. Take bold action even when uncertain. Justice. Treat people fairly and ethically in all dealings. Temperance. Maintain balance. Avoid excess in ambition, emotion or consumption. When you build your entrepreneurial identity around these virtues, success naturally becomes sustainable. You're no longer hustling blindly. You're creating something enduring, something rooted in character. Every decision becomes a test of virtue. Am I being fair to my team and customers? Am I acting with clarity or emotion? By leading from virtue, you earn not just profit, you earn respect, trust, and peace. 7. Integration. Turning philosophy into power. Philosophy means nothing unless it becomes practice. It's not about reading quotes, it's about living them. The true Stoic entrepreneur doesn't aim to be perfect. They aim to be present. They know self-mastery is a lifelong pursuit, built one reflection, one decision, one challenge at a time. So when chaos strikes, and it will, remember, you have trained your mind, you have fortified your emotions, you have learned to stand firm when others fall, because resilience isn't built in comfort, it's built in practice. And through Stoicism, that practice becomes your way of life. Chapter 7. The Stoic Mindset in Leadership and Team Building. Leading with calm clarity and conviction. Leadership is not about charisma, status, or dominance. It's about stability. In every organization, chaos seeks a leader's mind to inhabit. When things go wrong, the market shifts, clients pull out, employees panic, everyone looks toward one person for direction. That's when the Stoic leader rises. A Stoic entrepreneur doesn't merely run a business, they build an ecosystem of composure, rationality, and discipline that transforms uncertainty into opportunity. In this chapter, we'll explore how Stoicism turns leadership from reactive management into philosophical mastery. Calm is the ultimate competitive advantage. In times of crisis, your greatest weapon isn't speed, it's stillness. A Stoic leader understands that panic spreads faster than any virus. One impulsive email, one emotionally charged meeting, one frustrated tone, and your entire team can descend into confusion. Marcus Aurelius ruled during wars, plagues, and political betrayals, yet he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's leadership distilled into a sentence. When problems arise, late payments, product malfunctions, or team conflicts, a Stoic leader pauses. They do not react instantly. They breathe, observe, and respond strategically. Your calm doesn't just manage situations, it transforms them. Your team takes cues from your emotional state. If you're grounded, they'll stabilize. If you panic, they'll crumble. Stoicism teaches that control begins within. So when external storms rage, ask yourself, what part of this do I control and how can I act with reason, not emotion? Calm is contagious, and in the noise of business, silence from a centered leader speaks louder than chaos. The dichotomy of control in leadership. At the heart of Stoicism lies the dichotomy of control, knowing what's within your control, your thoughts, choices, actions, and what's not, other people, outcomes, opinions. In leadership, this principle is revolutionary. You can't control if an employee quits, if investors change direction, or if a client delays payment. But you can control how you respond. Great leaders stop wasting energy on what they wish would change, and instead focus on what they can change: systems, culture, and communication. Here's a practical Stoic framework for decision-making under pressure. Define the event, what actually happened. Avoid dramatizing. Avoid dramatizing. Separate emotion from fact. What's emotion-driven versus what's data-driven? Identify control points. What can I influence directly? Execute without emotion. Act decisively where you have power. Release the rest. This discipline of clarity prevents overreactions and restores focus to what truly matters: effective action. A Stoic leader doesn't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "Given this, what's the best move now?" Date A. Ego, the silent killer of leadership. Ego is the enemy of reason, and the death of many brilliant entrepreneurs. It disguises itself as confidence, but manifests arrogance, rigidity, and defensiveness. Seneca warned, "No man was ever wise by chance." Ego convinces you you've already arrived, that your instincts are flawless, that feedback is unnecessary. But Stoicism teaches humility, the awareness that you are always learning. To lead stoically is to remove yourself from the center of every narrative: your title, your success, your company's vision. None of these make you immune to error. A Stoic leader asks more questions than they give commands. They seek wisdom from their team. They are slow to anger, quick to listen, and deliberate in speech. Ego says, "I must win." Stoicism says, "We must grow." When you strip ego away, you unlock one of the most underrated superpowers in business: clarity. Emotional equilibrium. Regulating the energy of your team. A leader's emotional state sets the rhythm of the organization. When you're stressed, your team becomes tense. When you're uncertain, they mirror it. But when you lead with emotional balance, you create psychological safety, the foundation of creativity, innovation, and trust. Stoics understood this dynamic deeply. They practiced emotional regulation, not for personal peace alone, but for the harmony of those around them. Practical Stoic techniques for emotional leadership: take a pause before reacting. Don't reply to that stressful message immediately. Let the emotion pass before you decide. Label the emotion. I'm frustrated. I'm anxious. I'm disappointed. Naming emotion reduces its grip on your reasoning. Reframe it. Ask, what lesson is this situation teaching me and my team? By mastering your own emotions, you subconsciously give permission for your team to master theirs. You become the emotional thermostat, not the thermometer, of your organization. 5. Stoic communication. Speaking with wisdom and restraint. In a noisy business world, great communication is rare, but Stoic leaders stand out because they speak intention. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." A Stoic leader embodies this principle by listening to understand, not to reply. Speaking calmly, even when delivering bad news. Avoiding gossip, defensiveness, or emotionally charged language. Asking precise questions that reveal truth, not assumptions. This style of communication reduces conflict and builds mutual respect. It also positions you as a leader who thinks before speaking, a trait that inspires immense trust. 6. Building a Stoic team culture. A Stoic business culture isn't cold or emotionless, it's grounded, purpose-driven, and rational. Here's how to cultivate it. Take a normalized challenge. Encourage open discussion of mistakes and setbacks. Treat them as lessons, not failures. Model resilience. When the leader practices calm response under stress, the team learns by example. Reward virtue over velocity. Celebrate discipline, honesty, and thoughtfulness, not just quick wins. Encourage reflection. Start meetings with a moment of silence or an insight question. This shifts energy from reaction to intention. A Stoic culture doesn't chase every new opportunity impulsively. It evaluates, aligns, and executes with precision. It values stability over speed. The Stoic leader's legacy. True Stoic leaders are remembered not for the profits they made, but for the character they built, in themselves and others. They leave behind organizations that function with integrity, people who think clearly under pressure, and teams that embody courage, fairness, and balance. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, in the same way, waste no time arguing what a great leader should be. Be one, and that is how you build an empire that lasts. Not because it never fell, but because it always rose strong. Chapter 8. Thriving through setbacks. Turning obstacles into opportunities. Every entrepreneur, no matter how skilled or experienced, will face moments that test their will to continue. The product launch that fails, the partnership that dissolves, the investor who pulls out, the sudden crisis that seems designed to crush everything you've built. In those moments, most people retreat into fear, doubt, or blame. But Stoics see something different. To them, every obstacle is the raw material for greatness. This chapter explores one of the most powerful Stoic truths. You can turn every adversity into advantage if you learn how to control perception, act with discipline, and persist with purpose. The Stoic view of setbacks. Nothing is truly bad. To the untrained mind, failure feels catastrophic. But Stoicism reframes failure entirely. It teaches that external events are neither good nor bad. They simply are. What makes them good or bad is our judgment of them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." To the Stoic entrepreneur, this isn't a metaphor, it's a strategy. Every challenge you face contains the seed of progress. The market rejection reveals what needs improvement. The partnership that collapses clears space for one that aligns better. The delayed success strengthens your resilience. The Stoic mindset transforms frustration into feedback and hardship into higher ground. So when something goes wrong, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? How can this event make me better? What advantage is hidden here that others can't see? With this mindset, you never truly lose. You either succeed or gain wisdom. Perception. The first battle you must win. The first and most crucial step in overcoming setbacks is mastering your perception. When things fall apart, the human instinct is to react emotionally. Anger, fear, self-pity. But Stoicism trains you to pause, observe and choose your interpretation. Let's say you lose a major client. You can tell yourself this is a disaster. Or you can tell yourself this is a signal. Now I can diversify and strengthen my offer. Both are stories. But only one gives you power. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." This principle is liberating because it means you are never truly powerless. Even when external events are uncontrollable, your inner response remains your own domain, your fortress. Perception reframe exercise. Identify the setback. Write down what happened. Separate fact from emotion. What's the event and what's your judgment? Reframe with purpose. Ask, what strength can I develop because of this? Every time you do this, you sharpen your perception and train your brain to see opportunity where others see defeat. 3. Action. Moving forward. When the path is unclear, perception gives you clarity. But clarity without movement is useless. The Stoics valued disciplined action. Calm, rational, and persistent. When life hits hard, paralysis is tempting. You feel lost. You want to retreat. But Stoic wisdom reminds you that inaction is a choice too. And often the wrong one. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Your mind will amplify the fear of failure, far more than the failure itself. That's why Stoic entrepreneurs act, even when uncertain. They don't wait for perfect timing. They move with courage, one decision at a time. Stoic framework for resilient action. That define what's still within your control. You may not control results, but you control effort and strategy. Set micro goals. Don't think fix the business. Think contact 3 potential clients today. Execute with detachment. Focus on action, not outcome. Do your part and let go of what follows. Reflect and adjust. Learn quickly. Adapt wisely. Over time, these small, consistent steps turn setbacks into momentum. Amor Fati. Loving what happens. At the core of Stoic resilience lies one of its most radical ideas. Amor Fati, or love of fate. This doesn't mean passively accepting suffering or pretending to enjoy pain. It means fully embracing reality, even the parts you didn't plan for, and using it as material for growth. Imagine looking at your worst moments and saying, "This too serves me." That's Amor Fati in action. When a deal fails, you don't just tolerate it. You thank it for revealing weak points in your strategy. When you face rejection, you don't take it personally. You use it to refine your message. This mindset transforms you from victim to alchemist. Every difficulty becomes gold in disguise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Be that fire. Let every hardship feed your strength instead of consuming it. The power of persistence. Turning resistance into mastery. One of the greatest Stoic virtues is perseverance. The Stoics didn't believe in overnight success. They believed in mastery born from consistent effort, through hardship. For entrepreneurs, persistence isn't optional. It's survival. You will fail. You will lose money. You will make mistakes. But the difference between those who quit and those who thrive lies in persistence, with purpose. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's Stoicism in modern language. To persist stoically means, you don't attach your identity to outcomes. You treat setbacks as part of the process. You endure discomfort as the price of transformation. The Stoics viewed struggle as a divine training ground, like a blacksmith shapes iron through fire. Challenges shape the mind through adversity. You don't grow despite setbacks, you grow because of them. The obstacle becomes the way, building momentum from chaos. Ryan Holiday popularized a phrase that echoes Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. The obstacle is the way. This means that what stands in your path is your path. The difficulty isn't blocking your progress, it's guiding it. When your marketing strategy fails, you're forced to innovate. When your top employee leaves, you're pushed to strengthen your systems. When funding falls through, you're challenged to become more resourceful. Every obstacle is an invitation to evolve. Ask yourself, what skill is this obstacle demanding from me? What new direction might this challenge be pointing toward? How can I make this moment my training ground, not my tombstone? Once you begin to see every problem as a disguised opportunity, you stop resisting life and start flowing with it. 7. Emotional mastery. During collapse, let's be honest, some setbacks hit deep. You may lose something irreplaceable, a dream, a relationship, a sense of identity. Even Stoics felt pain, but they mastered how to experience it. They didn't suppress emotion, they disciplined it. Seneca advised that we allow ourselves to feel, but never to drown. You can cry, you can grieve, you can even doubt, but you return to center. You remind yourself that emotion is temporary, but your character is eternal. How Stoics process pain. Acknowledge the wound. Don't pretend you're fine. Reflect. Don't ruminate. What can this teach me about myself? Detach from outcome. Accept what is beyond your control. Return to purpose. Redirect energy toward creation, not complaint. Pain becomes power when you process it consciously. 8. The growth dividend. How setbacks build future strength. The hidden gift of setbacks is that they prepare you for future storm. Every trial increases your emotional range, sharpens your decision-making, and expands your resilience threshold. After each obstacle you overcome, your future self becomes calmer, wiser, and harder to break. This is the compounding effect of Stoic growth. Each failure is not a reset, it's an upgrade. Over time, what once terrified you becomes trivial. You stop fearing the next storm, because you've built yourself into one. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the ultimate entrepreneurial advantage. Unshakable inner power. Nice to wine. Thriving beyond resilience. Building anti-fragility. Stoicism doesn't just help you survive challenges, it teaches you to benefit from them. Modern thinkers call this anti-fragility. Systems that grow stronger from stress. Your business can be anti-fragile. Your mindset can be anti-fragile. To achieve it, seek discomfort intentionally. Challenge yourself before life does. Diversify strength. Don't rely on one income stream, one skill, or one team member. Reflect and reinforce. After each difficulty, build a lesson into your system. Every setback you endure without breaking multiplies your future strength. You become the kind of leader who no longer fears loss, because you know you can rebuild anything. 10. Closing reflection. The fire within. The Stoics didn't pray for easier lives. They prayed for stronger minds. Every obstacle you face is an invitation to embody that same strength. To lead not from fear, but from wisdom. You don't become unbreakable by avoiding failure. You become unbreakable by learning to turn failure into fire. So when the next setback comes, and it will, don't ask why me. Ask, how can this make me unstoppable? Because in the Stoic worldview, you don't merely survive adversity, you thrive because of. That's the mark of a true Stoic entrepreneur. Someone who turns every fall into flight, and every obstacle into the very path forward. Chapter 9. The Stoic Path to Wealth and Purpose. Redefining success beyond money. Modern entrepreneurship glorifies the pursuit of wealth, the seven-figure business, the luxury lifestyle, the relentless hustle. Yet behind the curated images of success, Many entrepreneurs are quietly burning out, feeling empty even after achieving what they thought would bring happiness. Stoicism presents a radical alternative. True wealth isn't measured by how much you have, but by how little you need to be at peace. In this chapter we'll explore how Stoic philosophy redefines success, shifting your focus from chasing external validation to cultivating inner mastery, purpose, and self-command. The illusion of success in the modern world. Our culture celebrates external achievement, revenue growth, social media followers, and public recognition. But the Stoics would argue that much of what we call success is actually a form of dependence. Seneca observed, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." If your happiness depends on profit margins, client feedback, or market trends, then your peace is constantly at risk, because all those things lie outside your control. Entrepreneurs often fall into the success trap, working endless hours to earn freedom, only to become prisoners of their own ambition. They sacrifice health, relationships, and serenity in pursuit of validation that never truly satisfy. Stoicism asks a different question. What if success isn't about acquisition, but alignment? Alignment between your values, your actions, and your purpose, because the truth is, external wins fade, inner mastery endures. Redefining wealth. The Stoic perspective. For the Stoics, wealth was neutral, neither good nor bad. It was merely a tool, valuable only in how it's used. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True wealth, then, is autonomy, the ability to live on your own terms, guided by reason, rather than impulse. Stoic entrepreneurs measure success by freedom. Freedom from greed, fear, comparison, and neediness. They focus on internal assets, wisdom, the ability to make sound judgments, integrity, acting in alignment with one's principles, temperance, maintaining balance amidst abundance or scarcity, purpose, contributing to something greater than oneself. These qualities cannot be stolen, devalued, or taxed. They're the most secure form of wealth imaginable. So while others chase material gain, the Stoic builds mental capital, a fortune that compounds for life. Peace, purpose as the true currency of fulfillment. Money solves practical problems, but purpose solves existential ones. Without purpose, even riches feel hollow. Stoicism teaches that every individual has a role to fulfill in the greater order of the universe. Your duty is not to amass fortune, but to perform your role excellently, with virtue, service, and integrity. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, wrote daily reminders to himself like, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. That's the Stoic challenge, not to dream endlessly about legacy or success, but to live it moment by moment, through meaningful contribution. For entrepreneurs, this means leading teams with compassion and fairness, treating clients and customers as human beings, not numbers, using wealth as a means to create value, not to inflate ego. Purpose is what turns your enterprise from a hustle into a mission. When you wake up with clarity of why, the how follows naturally, and the pursuit of money transforms into the pursuit of mastery. Phos, the paradox of detachment. Prosperity through non-attachment. Here's the paradox. When you stop obsessing over money, you often end up making more of it. Why? Because detachment breeds clarity. When your decisions aren't clouded by greed or fear, you think long-term, serve better, and operate with greater integrity, all of which naturally lead to sustainable success. The Stoics didn't despise wealth. They simply refused to be owned by it. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men of ancient Rome, said, "It is not the man who has little, but he who desires more that is poor." He understood that possessing wealth is fine, as long as wealth doesn't possess you. To practice detachment as an entrepreneur, this mindset builds the ultimate freedom, to operate from abundance, not scarcity. Phos, virtue. The Stoics' measure of true success. In Stoic philosophy, virtue, living with wisdom, courage, justice and temperance, is the only true good. Everything else, money, fame, power, is preferred indifference, nice to have, but irrelevant to your moral worth. A Stoic entrepreneur asks not, "Did I make the most money today?" but "Did I act with integrity today? Did I honor my team? Did I make decisions based on fairness and reason? Did I lead with courage when things got hard?" Virtue becomes your compass. When success tries to seduce you away from authenticity, it keeps you grounded when the market rewards unethical shortcuts. It keeps you steady when others panic. It makes you trustworthy, not just successful. And in business, that trust compounds faster than any currency. When you live by virtue, wealth becomes a byproduct, not the pursuit. Practicing gratitude in abundance and scarcity. One of the most overlooked Stoic disciplines is gratitude, not as a vague emotion, but as a mental habit that rewires your perception of enough. Seneca advised practicing voluntary discomfort, sleeping on the floor, wearing simple clothes, or eating plain food. Why? So that when luxury fades, you realize you were fine without it. This practice inoculates you against fear of loss. Modern entrepreneurs can adapt this by periodically simplifying their lifestyles, taking breaks from luxury, social comparison, or unnecessary expenses. Gratitude and voluntary simplicity restore your sense of sufficiency. You stop chasing what you don't need and start appreciating what you already have. This clarity lets you operate from a place of peace. And ironically, that calm often attracts even greater success, because you lead without desperation, building a legacy, not just a business. A business can die when you do. A legacy continues. Stoics remind us that life is fleeting, but influence, rooted in virtue and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius didn't leave behind an empire of wealth. He left principles that shape the moral foundation of leadership for centuries. The question isn't how much you'll achieve, but what kind of person you'll become through achievement. Your business can be an extension of your virtue, a living reflection of your values. If you build with wisdom, courage, and justice, you don't just create income, you create impact. Your work becomes your philosophy in motion. The Stoic balance, freedom, discipline, and meaning. At its core, the Stoic path to success balances three forces: meaning, the guiding North Star that aligns all your actions. Entrepreneurs who master this triad become unstoppable. They no longer chase happiness, they create it through clarity and contribution. Their minds are calm, their goals intentional, their actions deliberate. They understand that money amplifies character, it doesn't create it. With Stoic wisdom, you stop trying to own success and start embodying it. Closing reflection. The richest person in the room. The Stoics would tell you, the richest person in any room is not the one with the biggest bank account, but the one with the most self-control. True wealth is tranquility, the peace of knowing you live by your values, serve your purpose, and remain unshaken by fortune's storms. When you master your desires, money becomes a tool, not a master. When you align your goals with virtue, success becomes inevitable, not because of luck, but because of character. So as an entrepreneur, ask yourself, what kind of wealth am I really building? Does my success align with my soul? Would I still feel fulfilled if I lost everything external but kept my integrity intact? That's the Stoic standard of mastery. to be rich in spirit, disciplined in mind, and calm in all conditions. Because the ultimate goal isn't to accumulate wealth, but to become the kind of person who no longer needs it to feel whole. Chapter 10. The Stoic Path to Lifelong Entrepreneurial Greatness. Entrepreneurship is often portrayed as a thrilling adventure, a climb to freedom, wealth and self-actualization. Yet behind the glossy highlight reels lies the real story: endless uncertainty, sleepless nights and the constant pressure to perform. Many start with enthusiasm, but few sustain it for decades. Why? Because most pursue business success while neglecting the inner architecture that sustains it: their mindset, values and capacity to endure chaos. To be a Stoic entrepreneur is to reverse that equation. You stop chasing temporary highs and start building unshakable foundation. You no longer react to markets, trends or opinions. Instead, you respond with intention, guided by principles that stand the test of time. At the heart of this transformation lies a profound truth: your success is not determined by external events, but by your internal response to them. Every failure, rejection, or setback is neutral until your perception defines it. The Stoic sees a challenge not as an insult, but as a summons to grow. Where others panic, the Stoic pauses. Where others give up, the Stoic adapts. The long game, trading impulse for integrity. In today's world, quick wins are glorified. Viral moments, overnight riches, instant fame. But true entrepreneurial greatness demands delayed gratification and moral endurance. The Stoics taught that virtue, wisdom, courage, justice and temperance is the only good worth pursuing. For the Stoic entrepreneur, integrity is not a branding tool, it is strategy. It means keeping promises when profits are thin. It means building systems that serve people, not just shareholders. It means saying no to shortcuts that compromise your vision. Your business, like your character, becomes anti-fragile only when tested. Stoic wisdom helps you not only withstand those tests, but also welcome them. For every setback becomes the fire that tempers your steel. You wake up each day with clarity, not chaos, because your actions serve your principles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." That single line encapsulates the Stoic operating system. Every entrepreneur will face storms: financial, emotional, existential. Complaining adds no value. Endurance, action, and reflection do. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control your competitor, but you can control your attention, your attitude and your effort. The three pillars of entrepreneurial freedom. Once you realize that, you stop being a victim of your business and become its master. Legacy over lifestyle. Many chase success to escape insecurity. They want validation, status and luxury. But the Stoic entrepreneur plays a deeper game. You don't build a company to be admired. You build it to serve, to endure, and to outlast you. The Stoic measures wealth not by accumulation, but by contribution. Your legacy will not be the cars you drove or the offices you owned, but the people and systems you elevated. When you operate with that mindset, peace replaces pressure. Even in failure, you find purpose. Even in success, you remain humble, turning adversity into advantage. The phrase, "the obstacle is the way," isn't poetic fluff. It's tactical genius. Every setback contains hidden leverage. When you lose a deal, you gain insight. When a partner betrays you, you gain discernment. When markets collapse, you learn agility. To the Stoic entrepreneur, pain becomes feedback, not failure. Rejection becomes redirection, and uncertainty becomes the arena in which resilience is built. Your brain rewires each time you respond with calm rather than chaos. Your leadership deepens each time you practice courage under pressure. That's not theory. That's neuroplasticity in action, forged by Stoic practice and entrepreneurial fire. Eudaimonia, the ultimate goal. The Stoics didn't chase happiness. They pursued eudaimonia, human flourishing through virtue and wisdom. For the entrepreneur, this means creating a business that reflects your highest self, not your deepest fears. It means designing a life where peace and performance coexist, where your company grows not in conflict with your well-being, but in alignment with it. The irony: when you stop chasing success and start embodying purpose, you attract both. Clients trust you, teams follow you, opportunities align with your integrity. That's the quiet power of Stoicism. In business, it makes you magnetic, not manic. Your Stoic declaration. As this journey closes, take a deep breath. You've explored the ancient wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus and Seneca, and translated it into modern entrepreneurial reality. But the journey doesn't end here. Write your own Stoic declaration. Define what's within your control, your work ethic, your clarity, your composure, and release what isn't. Treat each challenge as a mentor, each obstacle as a curriculum. And when the world grows noisy, return to silence, that sacred space where Stoic entrepreneurs think clearly, act decisively, and build legacies that endure. Because the truth is simple: you can't control the economy, you can't control outcome, but you can always control yourself. And that is where true power lies. That's not just Stoicism. That's entrepreneurship at its highest level.